This is Sexy Funny Raw, where we chat all about the world of sex, from dating and relationships all the way to the adult industry itself. I'm Sylvia Sage, and this is my Pornspective, answering all the questions you weren't even brave enough to ask Google. Get ready, because Sexy Funny Raw starts now.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Sexy Funny Raw, where I am joined, of course, by my co-host, Dr. Eddie, giving us his public health perspective. Thank you, Dr. Eddie. And so happy to have in studio with us today America's favorite stepmom and penthouse pet, Ryan Keeley.
I am so excited to be here. And my mic needs to be closer to my face.
Bring it in.
Yeah, I just want it right.
Where do you want it? Tell them where you want it. Instantly going into stepmom, and there we go.
That's just horror mode, okay? I can be a total raunchy slut without having to be a stepmom, and I really wish HBO would quit making shows that normalize incest. So
And porn would stop doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We follow mainstream leads, so there you go.
It's your fault.
It is your fault, mainstream people. All right, you guys, we do have a new episode for you today. In the episode, we are going to be talking about, oh my God, it's so very important, vaginal health and the health of your vulva, which is what most of you think to be a vagina. And we're going to get into it today because it's health for women and it's knowledge that all of men also need to have as well. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into it. All right?
Like I dive
Literally
into
diving into it. Okay, so there is obviously a lot of advice about there to how to take care of your vagina. And some of it involves pricey, unproven, and sometimes harmful hygiene products and practices. From vaginal steaming, thank you, that was the word. From vaginal steaming and herbal cleanses to deodorants and scented lubricants, there is a growing market dedicated to needless vagina remedies. So, as important as it is and sometimes surprising how little men and even women know about the female sexual anatomy, it's mind-blowing. Our sex education, especially in this country, well, in all countries, I'd really say, is so below par. I didn't know half of the things about my own body that I have learned since being in pornography. And I got into porn at 30 years old. 30, when I knew so little about my own vagina. I was so scared about what was going on in my vagina. I didn't know what was healthy, what was not healthy. And so today we're going to break down all the myth. But let's start with what it is. We do have an image for you, and we often refer to this as the vagina, but this is actually what we're looking at right here is the vulva, okay? So this is the outside of a woman's body, and what you're looking here at is the vulva, of course. So you're seeing the inner labia, the outer labia, the vaginal opening, urethral opening, the clitoris, the clitoral hood, and
the mons
pubis. I thought, is that just the bone right above it? Is that what that?
Well, go ahead.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
So please explain.
It's what makes dry humping feel good.
Ah, okay.
You can give the doctor explanation.
I'll take that definition.
Yeah.
We'll take that to
yeah.
It's the area right above.
Okay. No. Okay. And then that's where the pubic hair just lies. That's where it's like hanging out.
It's above the pubic area per se.
So it's just a little hooded area right above my clit.
It's not necessary. No, it's.
I'm really trying to understand this.
Is it the bone?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the bone. That's what. Okay.
So the whole
as I'm feeling my vagina
right
right now. Yeah.
But there's a lot of more nerve endings there than there are in other parts of your body because it's getting closer and closer to the good place.
To the good place, yeah. And of course, I would hope most of us know there's an indoor clitoris and an outdoor clitoris, right? Or do we call them both the clitoris?
Same one? Yeah, but it's the same one.
It's the same one? It just has two different
It has a couple of different parts, yeah.
I'm really lucky that I learned a lot about sex ed because I grew up in the Pacific Northwest with a lot of hippies. And so at the age of 12, I stole a copy of Our Bodies Ourselves from my friend's mom.
Nice. Nice.
And so I read that, and then I followed that up with this amazing book called Cunt, which is about, it's a feminist manifesto about reclaiming the word cunt.
Oh, I love that. I use the word cunt all the time.
I recommend both of them for anyone that wants to know more about their bodies or their vagina. And also another great guide that I read at 16 that really kind of like wrapped out my self-sexual education?
Sure.
Sexual
Yep.
self-education? I don't know. Is The Guide to Getting It On, which is a really, really amazing reference book with some really great drawings. So anyway, just my
So
shout
look
out
it
to
up.
some-
Look it up is basically what she's saying. Look up the book. It's very helpful. It did a lot of good things for you.
We only have a trunicated amount of time, so if people
Well,
want to
right.
do a deep
Their own
dive
deep
like
dive.
I do into pussy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love it. But we're also on this photo. Can we bring it back up?
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at the just above it. That's what we're seeing is the internal clitoris. So now I thought it was two different areas. Look at me learning. It's the same thing. It's just on two separate ends. Okay.
Well, the clitoral hood covers the clitoris.
Okay.
Right? And so that you can often pull it back.
But what I'm saying is I can have an orgasm from external play, which is I thought was my outside clitoris, or if a man is doing it right, or with myself, even with my fingers, I can have an internal orgasm by hitting the little button inside. But you're telling me the two buttons are connected?
They are connected.
Got it. Didn't know they were connected. See what I'm learning? And I worked in healthcare. I worked in hospitals. Okay? It's not for the lighthearted. We're all learning here.
And you have one.
And I own one.
Yeah.
I have it. It's been implanted in me several years ago. When the people came down in the space. No, just kidding. I've had it this whole time. The whole time I've had it.
I think ultimately it's really important that everybody do explore their own body.
Yes.
And that there's a lot of less stigma about talking about it, right? So
Yeah.
we talk about these things here, but it's not common knowledge. It's not a common conversation.
Right.
And so even having these very limited conversations in this limited amount of time can be really helpful if we're starting to think about what we like and what we don't like, and
Yeah.
what's okay and what's not okay, and what's normal and what's not normal.
Yes. And speaking of what's normal and not normal, I think there are so many questions that come with owning a vagina. Like what amount of discharge is normal? What smells are normal? I know a big problem for me, especially getting into the adult industry, is when I first got in, I was dealing with a lot of acne down in my pubic area. I was dealing with a lot of like irritation from shaving and just the sweat and things getting into my pores and were causing folliculitis.
Folliculitis or contact dermatitis.
There you go.
Or it could be acneic, though that would be a little unusual in that region.
Right. But that's what most people assume it to be.
Yes.
Because you're obviously having redness and irritation and they look like pimples. They have the full pus. But what it really is just like not getting the area
The
clean.
follicles are irritated.
Yeah.
Or clogged.
or clogged. Absolutely.
Or both.
Yeah. So, but I think a big part of that for keeping it, I would just say clean, is a big part of hygiene. Cleaning with soap and water.
But like not cleaning it with regular soap and water. The outside areas.
Right.
I clean with regular soap and water.
Your vagina?
The outsides.
The vulva.
The
See,
vulva?
We're even
Yes.
getting confused
yes,
here.
Yes.
So for my
Outside.
whole vulva area, I'm so sensitive that I can't bring soap anywhere near my vulva area, even anywhere near my like pubic area, or I get like
What?
rashes, really hardcore yeast infections. Yeah, guys, yeast infections.
How
That's what we're
are
talking
you,
about today.
How are you maintaining? How are you?
I have been through a variety of products.
Yeah.
Currently, Slickwood makes a pussy wash that does not irritate me, and I like to use it for my vaginal area. I also use it for shaving down there, because most shaving products irritate me. Conditioner I can kind of use it like in a pinch to shave with, but any sort of regular shaving thing I can't use. Sugaring I can do, but I can't do waxing. I have the world's most sensitive vagina.
Obviously, because I don't have any of those problems.
Oh my God.
Like,
If I bring soap anywhere near my vagina, it is itching and burning for days.
One of the problems is the types of soap that we're using. So they do make sensitive soaps, but like for the average vagina, if yours is extra sensitive, the average vagina, Dove is good. Like those soft ones.
I
without
know
No,
it
they're
sounds-
not good. Dove
Well-
is terrible because if you look up at the alkaline base of vagina versus the alkaline base
We're
on a
not
pH
talking about
scale,
the vagina. We're talking about
the vulva,
vulva.
even with the vulva, because your body is slightly acidic, and a lot of
is.
these, it's like a 6 or a 7, and what the body in a soap is. What's the standard pH on a soap?
No idea. But I actually use Dove on my vulva. That is what I'm
That's
using.
actually pretty
Yeah.
common, but there are lots of women.
But
that
that's
are
what I
very
was told
sensitive
by
that
my
can't.
dermatologist, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like,
And they're a doctor.
yeah. So I'm like, and I honestly feel like I've finally gotten like a hold on all of that. But I have laser hair removal, and I've been doing laser hair removal for years. So that also made my hair follicles a lot thinner and a lot less. So there's a lot less follicles for I think it to even get into. I feel like maybe I don't know,
The
or they're
follicles
thinner.
are never going to go away. But if they're no longer growing hair out of them,
Right.
they're going to naturally contract, and
Yeah.
so that there's like less of pores, not a technical term, but there's like less of a follicular opening for
Yeah.
like, stuff to get in there.
Yeah, but I will
Is
say,
that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I will say, like my pant choice today, bad choice. I'm wearing leather and I'm sweating profusely, and so I'm sure by the end of this, I will have a pimple or two on my ass, which is great because I have a scene on Friday.
But are you wearing panties?
I am not.
See, 'cause
yeah,
I think the leather plus the panties would be a
Would've
bad
been
idea.
yeah.
But no panties and leather.
I feel like I'm just sitting in sweat though, so that can't be positive. Like I'm just
Cotton panties might be
sitting
okay,
in the
though.
sweat. Yeah, yeah.
But the elastic on the bands.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
But you do want to just keep it breathable. That is a biggest sign that I would say, like a breathable panty or a breathable pant, or even no pants or no panties. is,
sundress and no
definitely-
panties.
There you go. Everyone's favorite.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
everybody's favorite. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I guess Dove soap does have a pH of 6, which is closer to the acid mantle of the skin.
There
so
we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
I like that.
I just hate Dove soap because it strips off my spray tan. So it's hard to be a whore, okay?
It really is.
I got to be tan. My vagina has to taste good. Mm-hmm. Got to look good on camera. It's exhausting.
Speaking of tasting good, can we talk about that real quick?
Yes,
Absolutely.
let's talk
Only
about it.
because there are a lot of myths and there are a lot of products out there to like change the taste and the flavor. And I know that we've talked about it a little bit, Sylvia, but it really should taste like a vagina and not like a rosy tea,
Right.
perhaps. And so a lot of the products that are being used have things like lemongrass, have some of those other lavender products that really aren't good for the vagina and change the microbiome, which then creates a variety of different potential problems. Now, this isn't for everyone and it doesn't happen to everyone, and some people are more sensitive than others, but certainly it does happen. And so everybody's going to be a little bit different, and every vagina a unique flower. Totally understandable. But when we start putting things like vanilla extracts and things like that to make it taste better, we're praying for disaster.
Right, right. No, I get that. I mean, I've heard from gynecologists my entire life of like not doing anything extra to the vagina. The vagina is its own like
It's a self-cleaning
self-cleaning organ. Right. But I think because we work in pornography, I definitely feel the added pressure to like use a douche before the scene, even if it's a water douche, just because it kind of rinses out all the
Natural discharge. that would be
schmegma,
coming
yeah,
out.
like
Absolutely.
the discharge and the whiteness, because that's not
Throughout
necessarily
the
what
month,
you
your
want to
discharge
see.
is going to change, and that's another
yeah.
thing that most people don't talk about. When I talk about vaginal health with any woman, the number one piece of advice that I give them is to taste your pussy in the shower every day, because
Yeah.
I can't have soap anywhere near my vagina. I clean with just water because
Yeah.
I want to make sure that there's no like toilet paper or whatever in my folds and crinkles.
Yeah.
In my vulva area.
Yeah,
I want it to be clean and friendly and welcoming.
right.
And so I clean with just water. And while I'm doing that, I also just do a little dipstick and
Yeah.
I taste my flavor. And
Yeah.
throughout the month, sometimes it's like thick and clear and mucusy. Sometimes it's creamy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes it changes throughout the month. And when you start knowing your body's natural cycles, you'll notice if there's like a flavor or texture change.
Yeah.
And that can give you insight into what's going on.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I definitely, and I'm a taste tester as well. I always like to go down and know what the other person is about to be tasting because I would never want to put anything on your plate that I wouldn't also eat myself. So, I like to also taste test, and it is a good way of like knowing what's going on in your body because I feel like also, once you do get to know your body fairly well, you can kind of know when something is onsetting and be able to catch it before it really turns into a problem. Like you mentioned yeast infections. I don't really get yeast infections, but I get bacterial vaginosis. So that for me that's my downfall, but I always know when it's coming.
I don't think
also.
we should use a word like downfall.
No, right. But I think everyone is susceptible to certain things. Like I don't get UTIs, but I get.
Whereas I'm very prevalent UTIs. I'm very sensitive to them,
right?
And I can smell them. Like I can smell from my pee. Like after I've had some sex, that like
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I always know mine are coming too, but that's because we're so in tune with our bodies and we have to.
And everybody should be.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So
the BV is a direct result of the pH balance. That
yeah.
we talked about.
Yeah. But that's
sure.
that is my main killer for me.
I've always treated, before I got into the old industry, I would have to go to a doctor to treat BV on the few times that I've gotten it. There's one time I was in France for my first time traveling abroad.
My
vagina smelled terrible, and it was a whole situation with the French healthcare situation. It ended up costing me €700 to get my BV taken care of.
Oh my God!
It's
and
free for locals.
Free for locals.
Oh
yeah.
wow! I would
but-
just have a local go in and be like, "Tell them you have BV."
I didn't know anybody. I knew one person, and it was like an old man. And I was like,
no.
oh no. What do I do? But now, after being in the old industry, when I do get, BV, because it does happen, it's when your vagina smells like hot garbage and you're just like discharging a lot.
Yeah.
If a vagina smells like hot garbage or tuna, that's probably BV.
Yeah.
And I just treat it with a boric acid capsule.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's safe or healthy, Dr. Eddie.
That doesn't work for me though. It doesn't kill it for me.
So it's going to depend. All the gynecologists that I've always spoken to about it, and I've had many conversations, especially since being a part of this, they often recommend not doing that. And acids are not good in the long term. So avoiding that is usually the recommendation. A lot of things do pass.
And that's putting a boric acid capsule suppositorily.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear about that so no one hurts themselves. Anyway, continue.
Yes.
Well, no, there are some people that douche with it as well, right? And so that creates its own kind of...
I just didn't want anyone to eat it.
I used to sleep with a boric acid after every single scene.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, after every single scene, I would put one in as just a prep for hoping to not get BV. But I still would get it. So it's not the effectiveness for me because I just feel like I get real strong BV. It is like we'll knock it out.
Realistically, it's probably because you were doing that you were getting the BV as a feedback loop.
Yeah.
And so if gynecologists recommend against using boric acid, though that is one of the more commonly, it's recommended everywhere.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about the misinformation around that and what people should be doing.
That's an excellent question.
Well, I think I got the misinformation from porn sets, which is where I feel like I got all of my health information. And it was different ways that I was being taught to look after my vagina in the same way that I would be told to do a rinse with water and, peroxide. Have you ever done the water peroxide
Absolutely.
rinse? Yeah. So I was doing a lot of those things as well. But I think the proper way of cleaning is what we are doing. Either the water wash that you're doing or like a water and a soap wash and just cleaning the outside and never touching the inside and just letting your body do what it's naturally supposed to do. Now, are there certain foods that you could be eating to better maintain a vagina health? Not necessarily, but there are definitely foods that you could be eating that will make your overall body be better, be the water intake, be the fruits and the vegetables. Just a healthier lifestyle in general will lead to a healthier body, and i.e. leading to a healthier vagina. That vulva. So hard to make the switch when for years you've been just saying
we need to retrain
vagina.
ourselves. We need the shot. We need shot collars.
Yeah.
And we each get a remote. And so anytime one of us says vagina when we mean vulva, we get like a little bzz.
Yeah, I actually just bought a little remote for myself. Well, and to play. That would be a fun game.
What is the remote attached to? Shot collar?
It's for your panties, but that could be fun too. I did see a cock ring version also. where you put the little cock ring on and then you can vibrate it. Your partner can vibrate
I
it.
think that's a positive feedback.
That is a
loop,
positive
and so that's why
feedback.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
shot collar.
Okay, all right.
is
I
not
just
my
want
case.
everyone to have fun. That's all.
But also call it a vulva.
But I want them to
But
relearn
call
the
the vulva.
lesson.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair.
We
Well,
gotta
I mean, a lot of men don't even know the term, right? So,
No.
Yeah, the vulva, yeah.
I feel like there is men don't know. We keep saying men, men and women don't know a
People,
whole lot
yeah.
about what's going on
That's
down there
fair.
because it is never something that's discussed. And when did you start learning the things about your own vagina?
I mean, I just chose to be self-educated, and so I started very young.
That's where you get the books and stuff. Yeah.
Well, like my first orgasm, I didn't masturbate until I read like multiple sex education books, and then when I did, I stole my sister's doodle pen.
I remember those.
And I used it externally, but I squirted the first time that I ever had an orgasm. And for years, I thought that I had pissed myself because while there was there was less information about that than there is now.
Sure.
And so yeah, no, but I was I always knew that I was very much interested in human sexuality, and it was just kind of a calling that I was raised by Catholics, you know. At the time when there was no sex education in school. I mean, I remember asking my mom to troll her, like, so, Mom, where do babies come from? In like the second or third grade. And I just remember her gripping the steering wheel until her knuckles went white. It was like, they're going to teach you about that in the 5th grade.
And that is the end of this discussion.
But they're not.
But they're not.
They're not.
What they're going to tell you in 5th grade is that you're going to get diseases and that you should wait until marriage and abstain. And they'll teach you how to put a condom on a banana.
We didn't even get the condom on the banana.
Oh, you didn't?
No condoms on the banana. It was about the changes to our bodies. But my best friend's mom and my other best friend's dad, I have 2 best friends. I'm fucking cool like that. And one was a doctor and one was a nurse. And so we would get into their medical journals and we would look up various STD photos. I'm like, wah!
Yeah.
And so, you know.
That's terrifying. It's a shock culture. That's what almost everyone got for sex education was the shock culture.
Yeah.
And it's not like you just saw like occasional like herpes bump. You saw like a person who had been
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, like the worst
Absolutely.
case scenarios. Like their eyes are covered in herpes and it's like, what? First off, where do you find these people? And what are they doing?
A herpetic outbreak can have any nerve ending. Because I know that I've had fever blisters on my ocular nerve up here.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you can have herpes of the eye, which
Right.
is slightly different than the herpes we're talking about.
Okay.
Even though related, right?
Different strain.
And so you can have those outbreaks in a variety of different places. They're pretty
Right.
common in the eye. A lot of kids get them in the eyes
Yeah.
as well. The herpes outbreaks in the genital region and other parts is usually caused by stress. A lot of things
Yeah.
cause all of the different types for outbreaks 'cause
Right.
it impacts your immune system, which then creates an opportunity for those outbreaks to occur. But there are different types, and they happen all over, pretty much all over the body. The eyes are very common. Sometimes the eyelids, and sometimes the eyes themselves, and so the distinction there is pretty important.
Okay.
Only because if it happens to the eye and the cornea, it can cause long-term damage.
Got it.
Whereas I don't want to say more common because I'm not sure what the statistics are, but it's certainly the prevalence is
known.
pretty high about the eyelids. And so eyelids happen all the time.
Interesting.
And that's again talking about internal versus. I would consider your eye like an internal as opposed to an external.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have their own specialty.
Kind of like
right?
vaginas. You know, like my vagina is mostly inside, but my vulva is always on the outside.
It is.
Whereas
always
your
on.
eyelids are always on the outside, but your eyeballs are sometimes on the inside.
Absolutely. Agreed. I mean, it's one of the more complex specialties, right? That's why they have their own field.
Okay.
And it does become really dangerous if it is on the eye. So the eye is it's serious.
Oh, interesting. See, that's one thing I actually did not know. I assumed that it was all one and the same. So I just thought that was like an extreme case of like a herpes breakout that really hadn't been taken care of. Because also now knowing what I know, even with people who live with herpes, it can be suppressed on a daily basis, and it's something that you might not even ever notice, you know? So, and with a person like myself, like I do take a suppressant, but again, I know my body so well. If I am overly stressed, I can always feel it coming on, and I can do something to stop it before it ever like comes to fruition, you know? So there's like a little tingling that'll happen, and you go, oh no, double up on the medicine.
That's if we're. I was going to say that's if we're lucky enough to have access to medical care. If we're lucky enough to be able to deal with mental health challenges or any of those struggles that a lot of people don't have access to. So
yes,
absolutely, I'm 100% on board.
I'm speaking from my privileged side of having full medical care and attention. So yes, I do agree with that. Okay. So,
can we talk about gonorrhea of the eye real fast? Because if we're going to talk about things that happen in your vagina that allegedly can happen in the eyeball, I have been so afraid since I started doing boy-girl porn that I'm going to get blasted right in my eyeball and I'm going to get gonorrhea of the eye.
From cum?
Yeah, because I know you can get gonorrhea of the throat.
Yeah, no, definitely know that.
Which hasn't happened yet. How will I know if it's different from strep throat? And
it has to be tested.
But it's the same treatment, correct?
Can you get it in your eye like that, though? Can it transfer to your eye?
If you get blasted in the eyeball, bro.
But I don't know if it does.
There's like eating ass. And you get like
I've definitely gotten cum in my eye, for sure.
There's a couple of variables that we have to talk about if that was to occur. Because you can get gonorrhea. However, did you just have a wound of some sort? Is there a cut? Is there anything like that? Absolutely, it could be a place where infection occurs. Will it manifest the way it does in other parts, like do a discharge and stuff? That's going to depend on the person. But the throat, for sure, the throat happens.
Oh, yeah.
Really common. And with the throat, you can test for it and it will come back negative, and you'll also still have it in the throat. And that's not even talking about recent changes with antibacterial resistance and gonorrhea, because we have gonorrheas now that are super strong.
The MRSA of gonorrhea?
They call it super gonorrhea. And so it's been going around as well, for sure.
We talked about it on an episode recently,
Yeah, and so super gonorrhea is quite serious, because then there's nothing that we can do about it.
There's no way to fix it.
And so
that we have yet.
It is occurring. I don't want to give geographic locations, but it's been certainly spreading across the world.
Shouldn't that information be available on a public health website?
It is, as a matter of fact.
Where, if people wanted to get accurate information about disease spread in their area, should they? What's
Well, so I always recommend the CDC is a really great place to go. They don't always have the most current. They're always either 6 months or a year and 6 months behind as far as what's
actually
happening. The WHO also on a more global scale, and that's where you're going to want to look for this specific conversation, because it is more global as opposed to U.S. based.
I'm like, I haven't traveled internationally in a while, so I'm going to go to the CDC super gonorrhea hotspots.
Yeah.
So
it did make its way into the U.S., though. I will say there were some cases. There were just not a lot of cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say that the big takeaway from this is obviously making yourself more familiar with the vagina is going to be step one. Making sure that you are letting the vagina do its thing naturally. It's there to be our friend, and it can naturally heal itself and remedy itself. And just stay happy, healthy, try and eat appropriate foods. I would always stay tested because there's definitely a lot of things out there that you don't even know that you have gotten. There are no signs, there's no symptoms that come with a lot of these things. I'd say that's the best way to keep a happy, healthy vagina. Yeah. Anything else anyone feels that they need to add to vaginal health here?
I mean, I know that we had discussed what are signs of a healthy one versus not a healthy one. And so those discharges can really be confusing for people, because
it absolutely
they are
can.
Absolutely normal, and absolutely a healthy vagina also has discharges.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but it's the weird stigma around discussing it where it's not a normal conversation, where people don't know that it's normal to have discharge at different stages throughout your menstrual cycle.
It changes.
Yes,
and
of course
that's
it does.
drastically. That it changes, and
Absolutely.
it's this is what my discharge looks like. Sometimes this is what it looks like some other times.
Absolutely.
And so just knowing that cycle in your body.
I have a question for you, not so much for you. This happens to me every single time I shave my vagina. So let's just say I had a little buildup of hair, and then I take it all away because I shave everything top to bottom. My vagina is the creamiest it will ever be the day I shave my pussy. I don't know if it's something about like it's trying to protect me against the fact that I no longer have hair down there, or if it's just like, are we preparing for sex and my vagina is like mentally prepared for it, but I am so juicy.
I mean, you're touching your vagina with focus and determination.
But the whole day. I mean, I could shave it at 7 a.m. and the whole day I just have the creamiest vagina of all vaginas.
Your pussy with focus and determination. You're giving yourself a little self-love.
But it's the weirdest thing for me.
It's not the weirdest thing. Like, how often
But it's not like I'm masturbating.
But you're touching your vagina.
But I masturbate all the time, and it's not like juicy all day.
Do you touch different areas? Because I feel like one of the things that people don't think about is like when they're playing with pussies. And actually, this is one of my top sex tips.
Yeah.
Is that when you're eating the clitoris, when you're licking the clitoris, I like to put my fingers on the outer labia and do like a gentle massage. And that's something, and that's a whole other area that we don't stimulate very often. And that might be something that you're stimulating when you're shaving down your outer lips.
Yeah. I'm just curious if it happens to anybody else.
Might be.
Because I'm like, it's mind-blowing to me.
It's never happened to me.
No. Yeah. That's why I said not a question for you, Dr. Eddie.
But I feel like that area also stimulates like the internal walls of your vagina just with the external pressure.
Yeah.
And that's something that you're going to be doing if you're stretching the skin taut in order to get that nice smooth shave.
Yeah. I just thought we were like preparing for a party and my vagina's just like, we're ready!
Also that could be a Pavlovian effect.
Yeah.
Like if I'm shaving my vagina, I know
something's
that
going to happen.
I'm hoping to show it to somebody.
Right. And it's like, just in case. Extra. We got extra. Yeah, that's where I feel. Okay. All right. Well, on that note, Ryan, why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
Yeah. You can just Google Ryan Keeley, join my OnlyFans, and I'm just going to say this. Taste your pussy every day. Get out your Coke mirror. Take a look at it so you know what it looks like. And,
yeah.
Join my OnlyFans.
There you go. I love it. Thank you, Dr. Eddie, as always, for all of your public health knowledge. We really appreciate you keeping us straight and keeping us in line with our vaginas and our vulvas inside and out. Thank you so much. And until next time, guys, adios.